a little bit bright. Alright, there we go. Welcome back to the humble abode, and today is a beautiful day. It is March 13th as I'm speaking right now, and I think it has reached above 15 degrees here in France. So, we are going to go outside. Yeah, let's go. I should do a montage. Yes. Oh, this is going to be good. This looks like the spot. Got 3 benches here. I'm thinking I'll set the camera up here, be talking there, and have the pond as the background. Let's see how this looks. Testing, testing. What are your thoughts on regret? First of all, I hope this setup is alright. I know there's a lot of competing noises, including a jet that decides to fly right over us right now. I need to get a real mic, but I think we should just get started with the topic of today's video, which is regret, and specifically my experience or inexperience with regret as a 19-year-old. So first of all, I'm asking myself why I chose this topic for a video anyways. I don't think it's anything that's been on my mind particularly as of late. It's just something that I know everyone feels. And regret seems naturally to be a more pressing issue as a person grows older. And as a young person, I just thought it might be a little bit interesting to reflect a bit on what regret means to me and what role it plays in my life, as well as when I'm older to maybe look back on this video and see how things have changed. First of all, what is regret? When we think of regret, or say the word regret, we only have these negative emotions attached to it. And I mean, actually, I looked it up on Google. Here, I'll get my laptop out. Regret is apparently a feeling of sadness, repentance, or disappointment over an occurrence or something that one has done or failed to do. By definition then, I guess, regret is a negative emotion. And with regret being a negative emotion, it seems like these days that just automatically blacklists it, puts it on this grand list of things that should be avoided in life, along with sadness, fear, inadequacy, loneliness. We look at those as if they're things that we need to be avoiding all of the time. But these feelings are inescapable. And so regret, just like any other human emotion, is natural. I think really why I wanted to make this video was because for a long time I've always been so confused of how to feel about regret, especially when we're always hearing and saying things like live without regret, or I want to die without having had any regrets. But I'm just left here asking myself, is that really the way that we should be approaching this? Regret is this universal feeling. It's natural, as I said. It's human nature to think about our past selves and our future selves, versions of ourselves that could have been or should have been. So if we're telling ourselves and each other to avoid regret, then what we're telling ourselves is to avoid thinking, avoid assessing what could have been better, But it's when you're doing this assessment that you pinpoint what happened, why it went wrong, and what you could have done to fix it, and what you will do and should do and can do in the future to make things better. And this is where I see age comes into play. We have this common image that at least I like to remind myself of. And it's the whole, like, oh, imagine yourself when you're on your deathbed. What are you going to say? And one of the most common questions is like, are you going to have any regrets? And I'm sure you've had this thought too. Or at least I hope you have, because it's an important one to have. And we look at regret at that point as being the worst of all things, because there's some truth to that as you get older, with every day that passes that you won't get back, regret becomes less and less useful. And so as a 19-year-old, I'm asking myself, doesn't that make regret all the more pressing and important for me to feel and to grapple with at this time in my life? It's so strange that it's the young people who are either told or tell themselves that, hey, we're young, we're gonna live for the moment, make the most out of life and look back on it later. Well, I'm scared that if I were to do that, I'd look back on things, see things more clearly, but then have it be too late. But back to whether regret is a good or a bad thing, I honestly don't think it's either. I just think because it's natural, because it's something that we feel as humans, I don't think it's either good or bad. I just think it's an indifferent part of human life. But what is good or bad is the relationship that a person has with regret. If we're constantly thinking about the past and just continuing to relive it in this cycle of denial and then like a bewilderment with it, and we just keep going back and forth like, oh, I wish it didn't happen, how could I be so stupid? If we keep doing that, well, yeah, it's going to make you miserable, but it's also not going to do you any good. So that's one option of handling regret. Option two is, of course, avoidance, where you try not to regret, but seeing as it's something that we're all going to feel from time to time in life, more than time to time, we're going to feel it often. We avoid it, think we're avoiding it, but just painfully hiding it. And then there's another way of living with regret. I think, at least. Again, I am trying to just express my ideas as they come to me, and the purpose of this video is to give my perspective on things as someone who really shouldn't know much about regret. And I don't. But I like to think that regret can be turned into maybe not a positive emotion, but a tool for good in one's life. If someone were to ask me if I had any regrets in my life, well, of course I would have to say yes, given is that we've established that regret is a natural, unavoidable thing. But the way that we've framed this idea of regret being purely negative, something that you want to avoid, I'm tempted to say no, and that's because I don't have any regrets that affect me to this day in a destructive way. I look back on decisions that I've made in my life that, of course, could have been different, and that maybe I wish had gone differently. But then again, I don't dwell on it, because I know that it's in the past and it couldn't have been any other way. But by just thinking about those things that, where I could have done better, when I bring those things to light, I can use them to my advantage in the present, I guess, in order to make a better future. I know it sounds all, but I think that's just the best way of looking at this, isn't it? So I guess, yes, I do have regrets, but it's not something that bothers me. And I think a big reason for that is because I have a chance to make things better still. But what's your relationship with regret at the stage you're at in your life? I want you to ask yourself that. It's of course easier for regret to become more painful as you get older, because it's those regrets of omission that are the most painful. It's the regrets of commission, the ones where we wish we hadn't done something, that are usually more short-lived. And so the older you are, the more painful those regrets where you could have done something, you wish you had done something, but you didn't. Those ones become the most painful. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about this a little bit today, just to get you thinking a little bit about the role that regret has to play in your life and your current relationship with it. So I want you to ask yourself that, and if you don't mind, maybe share some of your thoughts in the comments and we can get some conversations started. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm brand new to this style, so of course I'm going to be a little bit rusty, and I'm going to change and adapt things as we go, but I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.
Bon courage, hein.
Merci à vous aussi.